Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the December 8th, 2022 Board of Selectmen meeting, which again is both virtual and in person. As always, we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to start off, and I ask that you all remain standing when we're done, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I just wanted to ask if we could have a moment of silence for two people who passed this week. One is Tim Daly, who grew up here in town, good guy, good athlete, coached Brunswick, very much loved, and Steve Goodspadinoff, who grew up here also, couldn't do enough for everybody. He was the assistant tree warden. He just retired. We had a little party for him a few months ago, and he moved to Florida. Both passed almost with the same thing, so very young. So we could have a moment of silence for Tim Daly and Steve Goodspadinoff. Thank you. Okay. Going on to the approval of minutes, is there a motion to accept the minutes for the regular meeting of November 22nd, 2022?
Lauren Rabin, so moved.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Thank you. And is there a motion to approve the minutes for the special meeting of November 22nd, 2022?
Lauren Rabin, so moved.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, this will probably be my shortest update in 3 years, which is probably good for everybody. This morning we had the United Way Legislative Forum. It was very good, very interesting. I want to thank them for, again, all that they do and also bringing the issues out to the forefront in our community and all who participated in it. Recently, we've had a bunch of ribbon cuttings, which is good. Most of these were business expansions and anniversaries. Gretchen in Design, I believe, was 2 years. Splurge, what is it, 25 years, I think, right? Oh, or 5 years.
I think 15.
15 years? Well, close. And Win Fertility. They've been here 5.5 years, but they're bringing over 40 more employees from Westchester. So that's all good. We applaud that and we encourage that. And there's a few more on tap in the next couple of weeks. So congratulations to them, and we wish them much more success and many more years of success. At 4 o'clock today, I'm going to be welcoming the Greenwich High School soccer team that won their first state championship since 1961 up in Hartford. So we're going to be doing a little ceremony for them, and then I'm going to run over to Cardinal Stadium and wish the football team good luck this Saturday up in Hartford. So I think East Hartford, Rensselaer Field. So lots going on the athletic front. We're very, very proud of them. We're going to be doing ribbon cutting for the bridge in Millbrook on the 16th of December. I know the neighborhood's very, very excited to get that done, and that'll be at 12 o'clock. So with that short update, I will turn it over to Lauren Rabin. Thank you all for listening.
Thanks, Fred. I think my update's short today as well. And I am wearing one of the ribbon cutting store's dresses, so it was nice to be part of that ribbon cutting, and I'm loving this dress. I was at the WestCog meeting last week, and what was approved as part of the LOT SIP program. And for those who don't know what LOT SIP stands for, it's the Local Transportation Capital Improvement Program, and approved about $2.8 million for the improvements to the pedestrian and traffic in the Glenville corridor. So that was really great to have that move forward. Next week, WestCog's going to be holding a legislative breakfast similar to what the United Way did this morning, Greenwich United Way did this morning, for the newly elected legislation, just so that they understand, what the needs are for Fairfield County and the members of the Western Council of Governments. So as you can imagine, it's going to be things the environment, flooding, affordable housing, 830G, transportation, traffic, all the things that we share as communities. Yesterday, the first select woman from Westport was at the Retired Men's Association, and I had to chuckle when she said one of their main issues is traffic. I've been talking about traffic for 3 years. Hopefully, in the next year of my term, we could really start to make some improvements in the way that we deal with traffic and folks' driving skills. At 4:30 today, I don't usually plug things. The Greenwich United Way, only because it's fresh from this morning, is holding a shopping bazaar at the Boys and Girls Club to benefit the finance champions. And if you don't know what finance champions is, it's teaching students how to manage their finances, how interest rates work, investments, things of that nature. So it's going to benefit those students. And again, that's at the Boys and Girls Club. And that's my update.
Excuse me. Thanks, Lauren. Good morning, Janet.
Good morning, and thank you. I'll begin my update by saying, in case you missed it, on Monday, there was a Zero Energy Ready Building Workshop. And no worries if you missed it, the video will be available soon. Thank you to the Energy Management Advisory Committee for organizing this excellent program, which was very well attended, particularly by Zoom and GCTV. And speaking of Zoom, I'll look forward to tomorrow's noontime discussion hosted by the Greenwich League of Women Voters, titled Utility Regulation in Connecticut, the Important Role of Public Utility Regulatory Authority. And for the link for this program, please go to lwvgreenwich.org. And this Sunday, I plan to be at Greenwich Point for the Greenwich Roadrunners Fun Run to benefit Parks and Recreation's Youth Scholarship Fund. I won't be breaking any speed records, but maybe I'll be in the running for best holiday costume, who knows. Looking ahead to next week, there will be a public hearing regarding the Nathaniel Witherell on Thursday, December 15th at 4 p.m. The link can be found on the town calendar. And last but not least, I'm looking forward to the menorah lighting taking place on the first night of Hanukkah, Sunday, December 18th at 5 p.m. at the intersection of Greenwich Avenue and Arch Street. To all who celebrate, Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you so much. And yes, for upcoming events, if you notice on the weekly Community Connections, we do now a Town Hall Annex. So it just talks about all of the things that are coming up there. And also, in case you missed it section, things that we had before. So with that, we'll go. We only have one item in old business, which is the Town of Greenwich's Open Space Plan. And we have Director of Environmental Affairs, Pat Sesto, here.
We have 2 items. You might not have the updated
I don't have the
agenda.
updated one. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning. Good to see you all again. So the open space plan is back, and just a little refresher. So I was in here, I think it was August. Went through the presentation for the open space plan, which I figure I'll spare you a second round of that, even though this is a new submission to the board. Subsequent to the meeting that came before you, we spoke with planning and zoning, met with law, and in fact, the best means for this plan to go forward, to have the most teeth and punch and oomph within the community, is to have it be an addendum of the POCD. So we withdrew from RTM, reworked, resubmitted, and that's what's going before RTM on the 12th. We've had committee meetings all this past week, and we're really looking forward to a positive outcome. So we are back to the Board of Selectmen. The highlights of the changes since you saw it last. In working with planning and zoning, they desired to have guiding principles inserted into the plan, which mirror more directly the setup of the POCD. For planning and zoning, it gives them a tool in their assessment of the projects that come before them, either as applications or MIs. They are able to take those guiding principles and apply them to the project. So that's an important component of the plan, so that they can best utilize the plan for their purposes. We also reworked the executive summary. I was told to tighten it up. So it is basically the same, just reworked a little tighter. Our Meetings with the various committees have been productive. The comments that we have been receiving, BOC elected to take up the topic, and they voted to eliminate the section that speaks to the Westcog report. They found it to be disconcerting that the way Westcog looked at open space doesn't exactly reflect the way we're looking at it, and they didn't feel as though that was a productive comparison, considering the caveats that went with it. I've heard that there is some confusion about what the difference is between protected open space and unprotected open space. In the plan, it does provide a definition that protected open space, we're looking at land that came to the town either through subdivision, donation, acquisition in any kind of form where the expressed intent and purpose was for that land to be open space. And then, of course, there's privately held open space, and for that to be considered protected, it has to be owned by an entity that mission statement is protecting open space, like the land trust. And then if it's privately held by an entity that's not, their mission doesn't focus on land preservation, there needs to be some sort of easement or other legal instrument that protects it in perpetuity. Then other land that is potential open space, that it's not fully developed, not developed, but there's nothing protecting it, and there's no foundation to believe that it wouldn't be developed going forward. So that was a point that has come up. And there's been discussion with regards to the tools of funding. I have stressed that the way the report is written, it highlights these are the various topics or various tools that any town, any entity can look at as a way to fund open space preservation. But the real oomph of that section is that it challenges Greenwich to look at these tools, assess which ones would be suited to us, and then allow that strategy to be utilized. As we know, sitting at a negotiation table, not knowing how the town foresees paying for things makes the negotiators a little less effective. So getting that guidance, are we a town that's going to bond when a project comes in? Are we a town that's going to set up a fund and keep feeding into that fund over time? We don't know. So some guidance on that for those who will be going forward and trying to protect this open space would be useful. So I think that runs the gamut of the issues that have come up, and we're hoping that we can go forward on the 12th with a positive vote from you all as well.
Thank you so much, Pat. It's appropriate we're discussing this because, you know, we're now discussing a big parcel that's just came on the market that we've been watching for a long time, and you know, we're how much of it is developable is debatable, but certainly you know, with the more development that goes on, the issue with flooding and all that is exacerbated. So I think it's very, very prudent to have to be at the ready. I know there's two schools of thought on this, having a fund there. I personally believe you should have something ready to go, and but you know, we've heard others say, well, you know, if you have the money there, you know, who you're negotiating with may already think, well, they already got the money, so they're going to start from a position of a higher position. But I'm not so sure, because that money easily, if there's $10 million in a fund and you're negotiating on a $2 million, they say, well, you got the $2 million. Well, that you could say it's earmarked for other things. We're waiting for it. So I don't think it lessens your ability to negotiate, weakens our stance, but that is out there. So just to let you know, there is that school of thought.
Yes, again, I've had the very good fortune of being a negotiator on a bunch of open space properties. I would argue yes, having an open space fund, no matter what we bring to the town, has to be defensible. So we could have $100 million in an open space fund, but if the project only has a market value of 7, it doesn't matter how much money's in the fund. We have to be able to defend and convince those in the community that this is a worthwhile expenditure. So market value, It is competitive in as much as we only have so many resources for a very long list of wants with open space. So it is competitive. And lastly, many property owners love their property and are willing, if not in some regard motivated, to enter into a bargain sale. Bargain sales allow them to impart more restrictions on how the land will be used. We buy something at market value, we get to use it as we see fit. If there's a bargain sale, that seller gets to say, it can only be used for open space and certain things have to be done. So a bargain sale buys other rights that a market purchase does not. And if you think of bonding as an alternative, which given the value of some of our land, I would think is a reasonable consideration, one could argue that bonding is a bottomless pit or a boundless open space pool of money. So I don't think having an open space fund, if anything, it allows a negotiator to say, we are serious about this and we are capable. And for some families, understanding that's important.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other?
So are we, sorry, so this plan isn't committing to a funding, an open space funding
No,
source?
it challenges, once the plan is adopted, one of the first orders of business is to pull together a committee, and I would assume BOS, BET, BOC, Finance Committee, Conservation, Planning and Zoning, to look at the various tools that are available, assess the pros and cons, assess them in the context of how Greenwich is comfortable with acquiring land and pulling a strategy. So no, there is nothing in the plan that commits us to a dime or to a specific tool in any way. It's totally a challenge to assess them.
Thank you.
That's a good lineup of representatives from those organizations because they are watchdogs and
Yeah.
certainly, they care about the town. And so I think that's a good grouping.
So I don't have any questions. I just want to express my thanks, as I already miss you as co-chair of the Sustainability Committee. I've been following this very closely in that capacity. So again, thank you, and I look forward to seeing how the town wants to move forward with this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
So does this group vote?
Well, this is a second read, so I'm prepared to vote on it. I don't. We have a question. We have two speakers on. Have you signed up? Can you, Lucia, just come up and introduce yourself, identify yourself.
I was first on the list.
Phil, just come over and introduce yourself. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Phil Dodson. I'm a six-term RTM member. I'm on the Public Works Committee as secretary. My background is when the 2015 plan came up, I was one of the members on the special committee that looked into possible side effects or ill consequences of some of the suggestions. And so obviously when I looked at this, I was very anxious, and having experience with the other one to review what happened and what had been addressed, as far as we really didn't have that many changes that needed to be done in the 2015, but it was another administration, but it was withdrawn. It was never brought back, and this is 7 years later now that it could have been done a lot sooner. I appeared before two committees, and page 16 is, there's a map which was done by the Western West Cobb, and I prepared some documentation to show why this map is so egregious as far as the way it reflects the amount of open space in Greenwich and comparing to our other towns. So if I may give these to you. So if you look at the map, the source was Westcog, as I said, and it's just taken right from that report. I gotta put my glasses on. And in that report, there's a table that shows each town with the numbers that you see on the map, okay? The source is the 2030 Westcog Regional Plan of Conservation and Development, page 96. And this table precedes the map, which is on page 97. And I've got the table there in the back, and I show it specifies some of the sources. And as it turns out, in the narrative, there's a footnote that says some of the data is over 10 years old. Well, guess what? The only data point that's 10 years old is the Greenwich number, that's 7%. By the way, so we currently have 13% open space in Greenwich, and we actually exceed the state goal, which was set back on a law by 1997 by 2023, which is just around the corner. So we have exceeded the 11% goal for town open space. And by comparison, if you use that, we actually exceed these adjoining towns. And I'm referring mainly to the 6 connected towns up from us on the neck of Connecticut. It's really not fair to compare us to the upper, more rural areas, because they can't help but have a lot more open space. So 2 committees have made motions to delete page 16, which is that map in the narrative, the entire page. And then there's, on the previous page 15, there's a paragraph, the 3rd paragraph, which I've indicated on there, and the footnote, because they reference, this has no effect on the plan, but you know, when you're doing an important document like this, it's important to get it right. And this reflects poorly on the town. I mean, here we exceed the state goal, and we're 3 or 4 points above these adjoining towns, with the exception of Darien, which is at 14%. So this will, I don't know if you were aware of this, but the RTM will be voting to delete this at the Monday meeting. So that's something you have to consider if you're going to take up the vote today. I mean, the simple solution would be just to take the deletions out.
Well, before we do that, and I appreciate that, because if we're doing something right and we're not getting credit for it, right, I would want to have that addressed. So why is ours 10 years old?
Because if you look on the table I had in the back, it's interesting that the towns that we're concerned with that are close to us are the ones where they use individual different sources. All the towns, they use the deep April 2019 report, with the exception of the ones that are listed, which I wrote in on the page I gave you. Darien's 2018 source. Norwalk, 2018. Westport, 2017. Stanford was 2014. But Greenwich is the 2009 POCD. So it's of course we're going to be shown in a worse light, and that's why it's so important to address this. And the committees that I went to, the problem is people aren't going to recognize this until you explain it. And I got no votes against it in the BOC, was 12-0-0. And in my Public Works Committee, which it wasn't a signed item, I asked to take it up, and I made the motion to support the motion to delete those sections. So as I said, I grew up here in town, and we hear enough bad articles in the New York Times, and so something that's unnecessary or that we can address, I draw the line. It needs to be corrected.
Especially if we're doing well, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Phil. I know I'll let my colleagues talk, but I agree with you that if that is correct, and they're going back to the 2009 POCD, and Darien's is going by their Parks and Rec master plan from just 4 years ago, Obviously, Pat, do we know if they had reached out to us to have that updated, Westcog?
I honestly don't recall hearing from Westcog directly, but I might not have been at the position I am now, so I might not have been aware.
Well-
If this is, many people want to have an understanding of how we stack up regionally. It's not my place to rewrite Westcog's report, and provided the caveats to explain how much weight you should and shouldn't give to a regional report like this. But as Mr. Dotson said, the plan is still fine without it, and if it
Yeah.
makes, rather than causing angst, we're fine to remove it.
Thank you, and not only that, I'd like to ask,
Yeah,
I'd like to ask Westcog
Yeah, I'll take
to
that
correct that,
action.
because that's not fair to Greenwich.
I'll take the action because it is the
Thank you.
2020, so it's
Thank you.
pretty recent.
Appreciate it, yes.
Well, I would appreciate or like to hear that, would they be willing to, make that to the RTM, that these sections would be eliminated?
If
We-
procedurally,
We would have to.
I always get stuck because I have been told once I submit the document, it is no longer mine.
Okay.
But we would not,
Would you speak then in favor of?
I would say we have no objections to it,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
I mean, clearly, I think
That-
it has some value, but not enough to warrant diverting the conversation away from the
Yeah.
foundation of the plan.
Yeah.
What I'm just trying to say is whatever would be the easiest way to do it, and that would help to get it through.
Yeah.
I'm
Phil,
happy to
was that-
take guidance on that easily.
Thank you, Phil. Was that the only one you said?
That was the only major objection that I had, and I would just like to address something else as far as this bit about confusion with protected and unprotected. When we studied this in 2015, we contacted Graham Stevens. He's probably not there. Is he still there? But he was in charge of the state's open space plan, and I just wanted to relay some of his comments to help understand. He said a town can count any of its own land, that's a town-owned land, as, quote, protected. The state does not require nor expect towns to place deed restrictions on town lands. The state recognizes that all towns have processes like Greenwich's MI process that protect town lands against being converted. He said the state will not audit a town's claim as to the amount of protected open space. And they automatically recognize municipal parks as protected open space. And this was one of the problems with the 2015 plan. It was like a race to put these permanent restrictions and deeds on all towns' property. They wanted to put deed restrictions on Board of Education property. And I wrote the narrative of the report, and I said, can you imagine, this was New Lebanon School, if they had to deal, we had Plan A's through E or whatever it was, trying to get that done, and these deed restrictions they were suggesting be done to outside agencies or the Conservation Commission. And these private land trusts, these agreements can be swapped without the like say without the town of Greenwich's approval. And now here we are 5 years or 7 years later, we've got all these school projects, and it's tough enough just getting it through P&Z with the MI process, and you get the neighborhood objections and everything. So I think that's an important thing, is it's particularly dangerous to put these permanent in perpetuity deed restrictions, because I tell you what, as an RTM member, say 50 years from now, and if we put these restrictions that handcuff
On
them.
public property.
Yeah, I'm speaking, on town-owned property, so that's basically my concerns.
So we're voting on a motion to delete page 16.
If you can do that, that's,
Yeah, because we're voting on this document.
Okay.
And the footnotes on 15.
yeah, well, exactly
Or
what
a
I have.
paragraph, yeah.
I gave that to you, it's a footnote 3, and the paragraph,
Last
and the
paragraph.
entire page and narrative on,
Okay, thank you.
okay? I appreciate it if,
No, thank you.
okay.
No, I
thank you.
appreciate it, because that's.
We
when-
gotta get it right.
When we were at some forum and they were saying that, maybe it was one of these meetings, that Greenwich was still way behind everybody, and I always remembered years ago, and I think they were including the unprotected, that we were actually doing quite well overall, and when I was surprised to hear that we weren't doing well, it was another forum in addition to our previous meeting here. So I'm glad for the clarification and for the catch.
Because, once this becomes, passed, people refer to it and they say, oh, yeah, look at this. I mean, the takeaway is we've reached the goal by 2023.
Another thing to attack us on, right?
Yeah, actually, that should be a press release.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Thank you.
But I think Pat has a response.
Pat, and then Lucia.
Important clarification, the 2015 plan looked to have easements put on town-owned land. The 2022 document does not. So that is not part of the plan whatsoever.
Good. All right, thank you for the clarification. And next up is Lucia Jensen.
Good morning, Lucia Jansen, RTM member for 17 years. I'm currently the chair of the Budget Overview Committee. Phil Dotson just took away my thunder because I was ready to speak to this issue about the open space plan. We are enthusiastic with an open space plan. As we all know, this town cherishes our bucolic and beautiful open space, and so from a conceptual point of view, very supportive. However, when Phil Dotson did bring the data discrepancy, it was more than just a small difference, 7.26 versus 13%, as well as kind of the accompanying narrative that was discussed, saying that we're laggards, not leaders. And, as we've noted, we get criticized for a lot of things, and we thought this was inappropriate. So the BOC was unanimous in its support of 1200 to remove page 16 and any accompanying WestCog data reference, which we noted was in the footnote. So just wanted to share that directly with you. And I really appreciate if you would remove that prior to the RTM meeting. We have a long meeting ahead, so thank you.
Well, no, thank you very much. This is important, and I take offense to it too when we're not getting credit for something. So definitely appreciate it, and we'll take that up.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're also gonna, and Lauren's gonna take care of WestCog and bring it up to them too, so that gets
Okay.
corrected on that level.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If we have a new plan, then WestCog has something to use to update.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so Lauren Rabin, I motion that we approve an amendment to the Town of Greenwich Open Space Plan that removes page 16 in its entirety from the plan, as well as the last paragraph on page 15 and footnote 3 on page 15.
And if the author of this plan has no objection, I have no objection, so I second that. Janet Stone McWiggin.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo is a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWiggin, yes.
And then the next motion, I think, is to approve the amended Town of Greenwich Open Space Plan.
Janet Stone McWiggin, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo is a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWiggin, yes.
Well, thank you. I think it's a much better plan right now, so thank you for all the work, and thank you for the catch. Good job. Thank you. Going on to new business, the Board of Selectmen meeting date
Old
change.
business.
Oh. I was just trying to see if you're paying attention. Okay, the Shipman and Goodwin request for a conflict waiver. This is the second read. Town Attorney Barbara Schellenberg. Good morning, Barbara.
Good morning. So we had a discussion about this at the special meeting last week. I don't have anything to add. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. No, I have no questions.
No questions. And then I think I might have mentioned to you guys that the building committee took up the item at our Friday meeting, and the vote was 6-0. Some of the members were absent. 6-0-0.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
So Lauren Rabin, I motion that we approve the request from Shipman and Goodwin LLP to approve their conflict waiver.
Janet Stone McWiggin, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo is a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWiggin, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now going on to new business, the Board of Selectmen meeting date change from Thursday, December 22nd to Tuesday, December 20th, 2022. Is there a motion to approve that?
Lauren Rabin, so moved.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, going to the Parks and Rec proposed fee schedule for 2023. We have Joe and Dan here. Good morning.
Good morning. This is our annual review for fees. Each year, we come in front of the Board of Selectmen during the month of December and ask them to approve various fees. Again, we do this selectively. We don't raise every fee every year, and the fees that we're proposing are just modest increase to keep us current in the fee market. We kind of build this from the bottom up. Each superintendent in each division reviews their fee schedule. They look at other competing programs, they look at other towns, they look at the offerings that we have, and they make a recommended fee adjustment or not. And we have many fees. There's 20 pages, and you only have the abbreviated section of the fees that need to be adjusted. So we take this serious, and we're trying to we're still trying to stay reasonably within the market so that people will use our programs, sign up for all the offerings that we have, which is golf, the park beach program, boating, et cetera. And I think we're well within that, and it just shows that all of our programs are widely used. Just so you know, if there's any hardship with anyone who comes forward, we all have a scholarship fund in Parks and Recreation that we're more than willing to accept some information. We have an application process. So if somebody has a hardship to get into one of our programs, we try to make it happen for them. We take that seriously, and we offer either some full or partial scholarships for assistance so that people can participate. Our goal is not to keep them out of our programs. So the fee schedule is in front of you. We posted the fee schedule on our website on November 29th in hopes that we could move it forward. Usually what happens is that we get, this is a first read and then there's a second read, but we tried to accelerate that just a little bit only because we're trying to work towards, what we're really working towards is trying to produce the one card for Greenwich, okay? So you hear me talk about this briefly, but it's been a long time in the making. Probably my whole career as director, we've been talking about getting this done. We are there. And we have the ability to offer the beach golf, paddle tennis, etc., all on a single card for renewal. And so that as you renew for your park pass, you'll be able to select other options. All your transaction will be at one time. It'll all be on one card that'll have a barcode on the back, and that barcode will tell us, Parks and Recreation, by scanning it, what programs that you participated in, which beach, golf, tennis, etc. So we're there, and it's been a long time in the making, and there's options to add to that program in the future. So we're trying to take the bigger programs, we're trying to get them consolidated, and we're going to make an effort so that a resident can just have to do that once. You go on the site, you sign up, you select what programs you want to participate in, you pay one fee at one time, and it's not a reapplication process for each program. And it should save the resident some anxiety, and it also maybe save us the issue of having to do this repetitive thing for every program that we have. So it's a little complicated. We're going to have we know when you roll out something like this, you're going to have a couple little blips on the screen. So we're going to ask people to be patient, but we are prepared to do this come January. And so the first announcement people will get will probably mid-January, and then we'll move into the spring programs, and people will be able to sign up for at least the major ones at this time. It has the ability to add other programs to it. So let's get the major ones under our belt the first year. Let's make sure that we have our database clean and it's operative, and then we can move forward and look at other opportunities. I don't know how you want to proceed. We put it on we did put this on our website. We had several people contact us about, questions. We answered those questions. The Board of Selectmen has a question, we'd be glad to do that now, or if you want to hold us to the next meeting for a vote, then it's completely up to you. But we will be able to, we can do it either way. We can, and if there's anything outstanding you want to talk about now, or if you want to hold it till the next meeting for a vote.
Thank you, Joe. I've seen it, and I think the fees are reasonable, but just so we hear, it's not that time sensitive, so if we give it 2 weeks for people it's on the public now. If they want to object, they want to have some concerns, we can address it then and certainly take that into consideration. So I think if it's not time sensitive, we'll just wait until the 20th.
Okay, we can do that. I mean, and we'd ask the public, if they're listening or here, if they have a question, please direct it to our office, because the issue with this is that, we have 11 pages of fees here. So to me, to stand up here and try to detail each one of them, but if somebody has a question, contact us, and we'll answer that question between now and the next meeting, so that you'll have a clear opportunity to vote.
Can you share with us the questions and feedback that you're getting from the community? You said you've gotten some questions already since it's posted.
Interesting enough, we were proposing.
Because I sort of disagree with my colleague. I think some of these increases are a little much. One specifically I'm looking at is the child beach card. If you have multiple children, that's a 50% increase.
But you also have to think about the last time we raised the fee, which is probably 5 years ago. So we don't, it's the duration.
I understand that, but in a 1 year, that a couple of them are a bit much from my perspective.
Okay. We'd more than offer some detail to you. So if it's going to be hard to do this at this meeting, but if you want to send us that question, Lauren, we can give you some background. So maybe that'll help you understand why we did what we did. May not change your mind, but at the end of the day, at least you have the background of why we proposed what we proposed.
That would be helpful.
The user groups, have you reached out to them too to get feedback? Or you just put this out there generally for them?
Well, we've had it out. We've had it out there. Generally on our website. We did get at least one golfer who said we should raise the fee. I was like, okay. They're talking about cart fees. We're proposing a $2 cart fee increase, because based on that, the pro is going to provide new carts next year, so the person said, well, why charge $39 for a cart when you can just charge us $40 because it makes the transaction so much easier? I go, that's unusual, but somebody did offer that, and we respect that. I know when you're playing with someone else and you're splitting the cart, it might be just easier to do that, but we want to step into it. If we get new carts, which is proposed, and we get into it, maybe next year we'll add the next $1, and then we'll still be in the market of what other golf courses are doing. So.
Okay, thank you. Got it?
Well, I agree. I would like a second read. And I'd also like to, as Lauren asked, if you could share with us the feedback you get.
Sure.
At this point, I'm neutral on whether these are high increases or low increases. But I think public input would be really helpful. So thank you.
Okay, so I would suggest that we have, they can come through the Parks and Recreation website. It'll get distributed to either Dan or I. We'll try to directly communicate with the individuals, and we'll try to share that if there's anything before the next meeting. Okay?
Thank you, yeah, and again, I look over and I don't think they're outrageous. I think they're very reasonable, but, and I know you do your due diligence and you look at other communities, what they're.
We do.
Yeah, I know, and it's, usually we stack up pretty well. So I assume that's still the case.
Look at other programs, what their offerings are, in town. Compared to some programs that are in town that are run privately, we're low.
Oh, yeah.
But that's okay. We'll work through this. 2 weeks is not going to matter. Our goal is to have it done in the month of December so that we can then move in January with the other programs. So.
Yeah, I think we've done that in the past with the fees. We always wait 2 weeks and then. Usually we don't hear anything, but, it's out there if they don't.
Okay.
I see one hand already.
All right, we're good.
Claire Gilgallen.
She also signed up.
Hi, Claire. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Dan.
Claire Kilgallen. This is actually a bonus item because I came for a different item. I've watched this December meeting a few times before. I want to thank the Parks Department for all the great work they do. I would make a suggestion because I sort of see a lot of things in the community and a lot of disconnect with understanding why are things changing. So I always think using the tax card mailer is a great way to market and update people who maybe aren't looking at the social media, or I think more communication is better, and putting it in something they actually read as opposed to something they scroll past or don't affirmatively have to go out to see. A push in, pushing into them would be helpful. But I'm mindful on the pricing. I hear what Joe says, and I've heard this conversation before. When we compare ourselves to private entities, there's a difference, I think, in comparing ourselves to public entities and the value proposition of the town and how we present ourselves to offer services and amenities to people. And I would just like to put in a distinction, because I'm mindful that other people have said to me, with regard to golf, the high school golf team, the cost for them to, it's prohibitive for those students. And then it could be a bar for students who don't have means who are on that team to get the time. And I'm also mindful that, for many, many years, New Leb and other schools, but especially New Leb, had the program of the skate program during school as part of PE. And I know that over the time that the cost has changed. So I'm wondering if there's an acknowledgement for Greenwich school entities to have a more favorable rate. I would just put it that way. Thank you, and thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Appreciate it. Again, thank you, Joe, and thank you, Dan. We'll see what the next 12 days bring.
A cartridge and a pear tree.
That too. Thank you. Okay, next up, we have the Greenwich Fire Department with their plan and review fee schedule, and Chief Joe McHugh.
Good morning,
Chris
everybody.
Pratico's here too.
Our Fire Marshal, Chris Pratico's here as well.
Good to see you, Chris.
I was going to give a quick overview, and Chris can answer any questions you have. So this program here we're trying to get put in town is every time somebody does building in the town, like not 1 and 2 family houses, I'm talking about like large projects. Most municipalities, if not all, in our surrounding area charge a certain fee for the fire prevention, the fire aspect of plan review. We have one deputy fire marshal who this is a lot of what he does, and he works very hard at it. And it's something that I think it's something that the town should hopefully consider. Because this person works hard, and we feel like we could generate some sort of value of this position, for the town. There's a lot going on, and Chris can reiterate to more of the fees and what they're going to be and stuff like that. But I think for the town of Greenwich, we're missing out on an opportunity. And it's very important. There's a lot of people, with the beautiful remodeling in the town that's going on, the buildings that are going up. We might be the last municipality that doesn't do this. So.
Thank you, Chief. I know, and I think some of the developers and builders are surprised when they come to town.
Oh, yeah,
that they don't have to
according
pay
to Chris,
this.
because I don't handle it, it goes through Chris. A lot of developers can't believe you don't charge. That's what they say to us. So, Chris could talk more on everything else.
Sure. Thank you, Chief. Morning, Chris.
Good morning, good morning. So yeah, like the chief said, we're actually one of the last municipalities in the area not to charge. People are often surprised by that. All our surrounding communities charge a certain rate. As a comparison, the building department charges 1.5% or $15 per thousand of the project value, of the construction value, I should say. And for fiscal year 2020 to 2021, the revenue generated by those fees was over $5.5 million. The fire department, we do not charge currently for plan review. You get a lot of big developments coming into town where I have to dedicate one of my deputies to, weeks and weeks and months of plan review, and we're doing all of this for free. So it would just be nice to recoup some of the costs, some of that time, so the taxpayers don't have to shoulder that burden. And it's important to remember that these fees are on commercial buildings, apartment houses, 3-family and larger dwellings. These are not for single-family or 2-family homes, so that's important to note that. This is just commercial dwellings and apartment houses.
Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate that and the background on it. I'm familiar with this issue, but I will turn it over to my colleagues for questions and comments.
I don't have any questions or comments. Thank you for all the work that's gone into this. I guess just in terms of process, will we have a second read? Okay.
And one other thing, if I could, In addition to the plan review fees, we were interested in a fee for reinspection of violations when we perform fire inspections of different dwellings. A lot of times the person is in violation, we have to come back, do a reinspection, make sure the violations have been corrected. And I'd like to propose where if we have to come back for a second reinspection, which would be a third inspection, that we could institute some sort of a fee. Because a lot of these occupancies, we may go back 4, 5, 6 times to the same location with no progress, no forward motion, and it's just a waste of time.
Yeah, kind of like the alarm board fees.
yeah.
Yeah, if they're making progress, if it's a large enough violation and they're making progress, they won't be fined.
I would suggest
You know what I
if, when, we'll give this to, the 20th and vote on this.
Right.
If you want to prepare something for that, I think that's fair. That's what everybody else does, and I know you'll be fair about it and not
Right.
egregious. But, yeah, I mean, most people in towns and entities do it.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
certainly,
it's
especially
in-
multiple.
It's in their last paragraph. That's what I was going to comment, that I like that, especially about what you're proposing, because that's not fair.
Right.
That there's no onus to make the corrections if you're just going to keep coming
And some of
back.
our deputy fire marshals are going back 4 or 5 times,
Yeah,
and
and
a
that's-
third of it, nothing's being done,
And
you know what I mean?
that'll
So-
put more
Right, right.
pressure
And
to,
again, it could be a large enough violation where, you know what, it takes a long time for them to do, and that would be put into consideration, like the alarm board does too. If a fire alarm goes off because of cooking smoke, they don't get fined.
Would there be an appeal process for that? Because we have an appeal process when
There probably would be,
the
yeah,
alarm-
I don't know if we'd have to put like looking forward, you'd probably,
Yeah, I would put something down just in case, because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be their fault, but you never know. There could be that circumstance where then someone says, now I get paid for, now I got to pay 100, and it was, and it may not be their fault. If you have something, if you can maybe just take another look at that and maybe have something in writing
place,
there,
right.
just so the public knows that there is a fallback, just in case.
okay, yep.
So with the second read, would it include the going back for the violations? You want that included in the?
Yes.
Okay. I would ask though, if you can to see if you can add to that and see if there's any type of appeal process. I think it would make it a little stronger. It doesn't have to be crazy.
That wasn't thought of, but yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree.
Thank you. Thanks so
you.
much.
Thank you guys very much.
Appreciate it.
Oh, we'll see you before that. We'll see after holiday, we'll see you before.
Yeah. All righty, thank you. Now we are going to the last item on the agenda, which is the proposed 2023 Board of Selectmen meeting schedule, which we can adjust later on. I know we started out 3 years ago doing one at night, one during, which was kind of cool, but the pandemic and everything, so we'll go with this now, and if everybody wants to later on take another look at it, but Angie Cather is here to present.
Hi. So the meeting are scheduled for the second and fourth Thursdays of the month at 10 o'clock. I checked the civic and religious calendars for the 2023 holidays. The only conflict was Thanksgiving, which I moved to Tuesday, the 21st, from Thursday, the 23rd, like we did this year. And then there were several holidays that conflicted with the submission deadline, so I adjusted those deadlines to keep the 10-day period that we allow for the submissions. And then the meetings are listed as hybrid, but that can change.
Thank you. That's a lot of research went into that, so thank you so much, Angie. So, did you want to vote on this now or take 2 weeks to look at it? But, I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
It's straightforward. This is routine. We do it, every year, so.
All righty.
so Lauren Rabin, I motion that we approve the proposed 2023 Board of Selectmen meeting schedule.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Thank you so much. So now we have the public comment period, and that we cleared the place out today. I don't know if,
She's coming back.
The bagels weren't an incentive to stay.
She's all set. Okay. So we were so thorough, there are no questions today, so that's great. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Lauren Rabin, so moved.
Janet Stone McWigan, I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Angie. Thank you, Jenny, from across the pond. And we'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. You guys are around at 4 o'clock.
I rescheduled my,